this is an iHeart podcast. Guaranteed human.
This is Danielle Fishel.
Ryder Strong.
And Will Friedle from Pod Meets World. You know what I didn't expect? Becoming best friends with Chewy's customer service.
Oh, been there. I've chatted with them as late as midnight. They actually get pet people.
And if Pickles or Lucky hate something, I just send it back. 100% satisfaction guarantee gives you a whole year to make a return. No questions asked.
Meanwhile, I'm over here ordering everything for Bill and Brunch. Food, treats, beds, toys. Because Chewy has over 100,000 products to choose from.
And it shows up in like a day. I mean, my dog Sammy thinks the delivery driver is her personal assistant, and I'm not sure she's wrong.
It's not just for dogs and cats either. They've got stuff for birds, fish, reptiles. The list goes on and on.
And the health side is huge for me, too. Prescriptions, pet insurance, telehealth vet visits.
They're even opening vet clinics now.
My cat pretends he doesn't care, but he benefits.
Chewy just makes the whole pet parent thing easier. For life with pets, the answer is Chewy. Save $20 on your first order with free shipping at chewpanions.chewy.com/world.
Joy is essential, and it's also elusive. But now, there's a new and exciting way to start your journey toward a more joyful existence. Joy 101. It's a new podcast hosted by me, Hoda Kotb. If you're craving inspiration, support, and useful tools to maximize your joy, tune into these candid, uplifting, and moving on-air chats. Listen to Joy 101 on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Hey, everybody. We are very excited to be going back out on the road in early February to Seattle, Portland, and San Francisco.
That's right. February 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 2023, the future. We're going to be in those fabulous towns on stage for the first time in 3 years, Chuck.
That's right. Tickets are on sale now. Go get them. Come see us.
And you can get those tickets at linktree/SYSK Live. That's linktr.ee/SYSK Live.
Welcome to Stuff You Should Know, a production of iHeartRadio.
Hey, and welcome to the podcast. I'm Josh. There's Chuck. Jerry's here too. Across the country even. What a time to be alive. What a time to be alive listening to Stuff You Should Know.
Yes. And can we start off with a little shout out to our colleagues?
Yes, for sure. Our buddies at Stuff They Don't Want You to Know did something big, huh?
They wrote a book like we did, and we are very proud of these guys, our colleagues that we've known, our friends for so long now.
Mm-hmm.
And what do they cover? They cover conspiracies, but not like, trust me, it's not like this big pro-conspiracy thing.
No. They do a lot of ripping the lid off of the crack pots.
That's a good way to say it.
Thank you.
Well, what they do is they apply critical thought and critical thinking, which is one thing that's missing a lot when it comes to conspiracy theories.
Right, exactly. Because they're all smart dudes and they're pretty down to earth. And they have a great podcast, and now they have a great book. And it's an eponymous book. Stuff They Don't Want You to Know is the name of the book and the podcast. And I think it just published, Chuck. So that means that you can get it everywhere. I mean, everywhere. You can get it at like Eagle Eye Books in Atlanta.
Sure. Yeah.
You can get it at the corner shop Amazon.com. You can get it everywhere in between. The Stuff They Don't Want You to Know in hardcover because it just came out hot off the presses. As a matter of fact, when you pick up this book, you should probably be wearing oven mitts because it is that new.
That's right. I can't wait to get my own copy. If you're into history, if you're into reading about proven conspiracies and not a bunch of gobbledygook, then highly recommend. I'm sure it's great. Can't wait.
Go check it out. So we're talking today about fake cities, right?
Yeah, like Rock Ridge. Did you get that?
No.
Oh, it's Blazing Saddles. The name of the real town was Rock Ridge, but they at the end of Blazing Saddles, Cleavon Little comes up with a genius plan to build a fake Rock Ridge for when the bad guys come in, and then they'll blow it up. So it's sort of kind of what we're talking about today. Yeah,
I was going to say that Mel Brooks like really did his research because there's a there's a lot of reality in that. People have done that kind of thing many times over the years.
Many times, and some are cooler than others, for sure. I can't wait to talk about the Seattle thing. That's really cool.
For sure. Well, which one's not cool? Let's start with that.
Well, I don't know about not cool, but possibly didn't even really happen, is in the 1700s, there was a very famous Russian military leader named Grigory Potemkin, because he's Russian. It's not Gregory.
Right.
It's Grigory with an I.
Right.
You don't see a lot of that anymore. Hey, Grig. Although I did have a friend in high school. Well, his last name was Griggs, though. All right, I take that back.
Yeah, that's way different.
But supposedly, as the story goes, they built under his guidance what was called a Potemkin village in order to impress Empress Catherine II as she came through town. And like, here, look at this great fake town that she would think is real. And then they would supposedly strike the set and then go build it downriver. And then she would see, and I guess believe it was a different place. And like, look how great we're doing kind of thing. But then I believe after more digging, historians have said, I don't think they actually did that. It was probably more of a, let's get this place all cleaned up for her visit. And somehow history kind of changed that.
Yeah, which is, I mean, I buy that. He was one of Catherine the Great's favorites of the court, so it's possible that he would have gone to all that trouble to please her. Regardless of whether it happened or not, Potemkin Village is now like a whole term for any kind of fake facade that's used generally as some sort of propaganda. The fact that it was kind of like Catherine the Great centric kind of leads to that extension of government propaganda. And there's a very famous North Korean village that's frequently referred to as a Potemkin village, too.
Yeah, the Peace Village. How are you going to pronounce that North Korean name?
I'm going to pronounce it as such. Kijongdong.
I think that's it. They also call it Propaganda Village. Well, they don't call it that, but other people call it that. But, you know, the famous DMZ there, the demilitarized zone, you can see this very clean, lovely, modern, prosperous area of North Korea right there from the DMZ. But, you know, as far as people speculate, it's kind of just fake. There's nothing there. There's no people. There's no nothing.
Yeah, and if you look like closely at it, there's no glass in the windows even. Like, it's, as far as Potemkin villages go, it's a half-hearted effort, if you ask me.
The Nazis did this too in World War II to, disgusting effect as well, right?
Yeah, they did an altered version of it. They took a real village and dressed it up in a way for that suited their propaganda needs. But there was a place called, I think it's Theresienstadt.
That's how I would say it, but I might be wrong.
So it was a depot, essentially. It was a sorting place for Jewish Germans and Jews from other countries that Germany had invaded. They were shipped to this place, and then they were sorted out and basically sent to different death camps around Germany. So many people passed through this that even for the short time they were there, conditions were so bad that they would die while they were there. Plenty of people died. But this thing was such a focal point. It was such a crux of this Nazi death machine that if it were, revealed for what it actually was, the Nazis' plans would have been revealed to the world. So when the Red Cross said, we want to see this place, we want to make sure everybody's being cared for appropriately, the Nazis kind of started scrambling. They're like, give us 2 weeks.
Yeah. What's funny is I was going to say give us 3 weeks. You're way more aggressive on your schedule than I am.
You totally am.
That's very appropriate. They cleaned it up. They brought in apparently 1,200 rose bushes. They changed the hospital to a library. They changed the gymnasium, or as you would say in Germany, Gymnasium, into a place of prayer for the Jewish people. They shipped out anyone who didn't look well, basically,
right?
And only people who looked healthy and were in good health remained. And, they put a town square and made it look like a really lovely thing with swings and sandboxes and even a phony restaurant.
Yeah.
And what I didn't see was how it worked.
It worked perfectly. The Red Cross came and were like, oh, this is delightful, and left, and then everything just got right back to business after that. So it served its purpose. Like, it fooled the Red Cross into going back and telling the rest of the world, like, no, the Nazis aren't running death camps. Come on, everybody, relax. They've got a restaurant in rose bushes.
Right. So we know this only because of post-World War II history.
Right. The thing that I saw that makes it just the ooey gooey evil topping on this horrible Sunday is they build it to the rest of the world as a spa town that elderly German Jews could go live in peace and safely.
Just when you think you've learned all the bad stuff the Nazis did.
Yeah.
Here comes another one. I'd never heard of this before. Not surprising, though.
Yeah, and I just want to reiterate, Chuck, I hate Nazis. I hate Nazis of today. I hate the Nazis back then. If you're a Nazi, I hate your guts.
Yeah.
I can't stand you.
All right.
You're terrible.
You're on record. I'm with you. I'm on record, too.
So I feel like, Chuck, you can kind of swing the whole thing back around. It's not necessarily for propaganda, but there's decoy cities that were essentially created to act as decoys during wartime, right?
Yeah, and I think this was the initial seed of the idea for this topic. Maybe, I don't think anyone sent anything in, or maybe they did, but the more I started kind of poking around, I was like, wow, there's been a lot of times in history where, for one reason or another, a fake city was built. And once I started sort of unpeeling that onion, I was like, wow, there's been all kinds of fake cities. And decoy cities was a big part of it. In World War II, specifically in Britain, what they did at first, it started out as something called a Q site, which is when they just said, hey, let's put up like a fake factory or something that will divert German bombs that way. And they'll waste some ordnances, and we'll get them off track and confuse them. And more importantly, they won't be bombing the real factories. And this was, I believe, the idea of someone named Colonel John Turner. And they said, well, that bully to that, sir, that worked so well. Why don't you go out and build 7 fake cities? And he went, huh? And they said, hey, it only has to look like a city from a guy throwing a bomb out of a plane. So you don't have to get too fancy.
Yeah, that was like a stroke of genius when they figured out, like, yeah, you can just do like the rough edges of it, because they remembered that they were hiding from bombardiers who were looking for cities that were undergoing blackouts, so that, there wasn't supposed to be much of the city visible at all. They would look for maybe somebody had left their door open accidentally, or someone had forgot to extinguish a street light, something like that. So they were able to just kind of make a few structures, put some scaffolding together, and then light it randomly here or there. And all of a sudden you had the impression of at least from, 10,000 feet or however high up you are when you drop bombs on British cities, that it looked like there's your target right there. And it actually worked to great success.
It really did work. And they ended up being, I believe the first site was called Starfish. And so they ended up calling them Starfish cities just from that first one. But initially they were called Special Fire Sites, or SF sites. And part of that had to do with the fact that after the bombing run would go through, they would go through and set little fires and set off little explosions on their little fake scaffolded city.
Right.
So the bombardier would look down and say, we got him. Look at that. Look at that beautiful big fire down there.
Yeah, and even more to the point, successive bombardiers that came the next night or whatever would be like, oh, that was the target. They hit it, and now that's where I'm going to drop my bombs too.
Beautiful.
Yeah, it really was.
And here's the thing, though. You said they actually worked, and I bailed on you, but I'm back with numbers. They built 237 of these starfish sites or starfish cities, and I think the estimates are they diverted about 700 bombing raids and potentially saved about 3,000 lives.
Pretty great.
Big success.
So, and it was extraordinarily successful, but the British weren't the first to come up with this idea. And Cleavon Little wasn't even the first to come up with it.
No, he wasn't.
It was actually our friends Les Français In Paris, they decided in World War I that they were sufficiently concerned about German Zeppelin bombing raids, which has got to be the slowest, most just, terrible bombing. Well, probably not terrible, but definitely the slowest bombing around. So they said, we need to find a different site and build a replica of Paris. And the whole idea was to really rebuild a replica of Paris with the Champs-Élysées and the Arc de Triomphe. And I don't know if they had plans for an Eiffel Tower. Surely they did. But they had it in 3 sections. And the first section they worked on was the industrial section. Mm-hmm. And eventually that came to be the only one that was completed. But it sounded like it was pretty amazing.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to see pictures of this thing. Did you see pictures?
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
I mean, how to scale was it?
It was giant. So they made it life size.
Oh, okay.
But they used, chintzy materials.
Oh, sure, yeah.
So they used really kind of, scaffolding, like a skeleton of a giant building, like that would serve as a fake industrial building. Mm-hmm. And then they would put some sort of opaque canvas over it, or an opaque covering of some sort, and then light it from inside. So to a bombardier, it looked like a glass-ceilinged industrial building at night. Yeah. So they were doing stuff like that. They had little platforms that moved along that were carrying lamps, so it looked like trains moving around the area. They did it to really great effect. And apparently the only reason they didn't move on with the rest of the plan was because the French military got good enough at shooting down Zeppelins that the Zeppelin attacks stopped. The Germans were like, you should probably figure out something faster than a Zeppelin to drop bombs from.
Yeah, the French is like, why are we building these fake cities? Look how slow that thing is. Somebody just shoot a flaming arrow that way.
Yeah, exactly. We can all just move to the left at our leisure and we'll all be all right.
Well, all of this, it's funny. Ed helped us out with this one, and he kind of started out with a section that we're not going to cover about movie backlots. But I'm sure all of this stuff, I mean, in World War II and beyond, was influenced by the fact that they're like, oh, wait a minute, we're making movies now where we build fake cities to great effect. It ain't that hard.
Right, exactly. I mean, it's just, I guess it must just be one of those ideas that's out there where it's like, well, we need a new city, but we don't want to build a whole new city, so let's just build a part of a city just enough to kind of fool people from a distance. But yeah, the whole backlot thing is it's got its own interesting story itself. The thing is if you stop and think about it, you're like, oh, they had a fake barbershop there. Oh, they had a fake Victorian mansion there. It's like, if you really step back and think about it, you're like, who cares? But for some reason, there's something really engrossing about that kind of stuff.
Oh, I love it. All right, so that's a good setup there. You ready to take a break?
I am, Chuck. Let's take a break right now.
All right, and then we'll talk about Seattle.
Stuff you should know. Josh and Chuck. Stuff you should know.
This is Danielle Fishel.
Ryder Strong.
And Will Friedle from Pod Meets World.
Let's talk Chewy.
Yes. For starters, they've got over 100,000 products. Food, treats, toys, beds. And as a dog and a cat mom, I can go to Chewy for literally anything I need, and it ships fast.
And Chewy's customer service is unreal. Day or night, they're ready to help.
You know what else I love? They handle prescriptions, pet insurance, telehealth, vet visits, and they're rolling out vet clinics across the country.
For life with pets, the answer is Chewy. Save $20 on your first order with free shipping at chewpanions.chewy.com/world.
Joy is essential, and it's also elusive. You can't order it, you can't borrow it, or simply hope it into life. But now, there's a new and exciting way to start your journey toward a more joyful existence. Joy 101. It's a new podcast hosted by me, Hoda Kotb. Together, guys, we'll have meaningful conversations with the world's most fascinating people. Entertainment legends, sports icons, wellness experts, and everyday people will share how they find, allow, and experience joy. And I'll offer some of my own tips and takes on seeking a more balanced and harmonious life. If you're craving inspiration, support, reward, and useful tools to maximize your joy, tune into these candid, uplifting, and moving on-air chats. Joy after a breakup, joy as an empty nester, joy after a loss, joy as a caretaker. This new podcast will speak to you. Listen to Joy 101 on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Your husband is not who you think he is. Your body is not what you thought it was. Your identity is formed by a secret history. I'm Danny Shapiro, and these are just a few of the stunning stories I'll be exploring on the 14th season of Family Secrets.
And just then, we felt the plane turn in the air. So much so that the bags that were under people's seats just kind of flew into the aisle.
Each week, we dive headfirst into the complex power of secrecy, how it shapes our identities and relationships, and how it ultimately can reveal to us our truest selves.
My daughter, she's pretending she doesn't know, but is trying to cook and feed me and keep me alive because I wasn't eating anything. And me pretending like everything was fine.
He kind of shoved me out of the way and said, move. And he went out the front door and he jumped in a car and drove off. And that was the last time I saw him.
Listen to season 14 of Family Secrets on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Happy Pride from the Outspoken Podcast Network. All month long and all year round, we're celebrating being loud, proud, and always original. It's me, Brandon Kyle Goodman, host of the podcast Tell Me Something Messy. Check out my show for unfiltered takes on dating, relationships, and adulting.
The more you get comfortable with someone, the more their real self comes out. They're going to be gross.
What's the grossest thing about a man?
Burping. Shut it down. Listen
to High Key for the best pop culture takes, and there are no girls on the internet for all your tech news. For your favorite celebrity kikis, check out Outlaws with T.S. Madison.
Wait, so Luke was the son of Vader.
Yeah.
And Vader was turned by RuPaul?
Yeah, well, somebody turned him, some old witch.
Learn to love yourself unapologetically with BFF, Black Fat Femme, and start your day with intention with Waking Up with Ryan coming in July. Celebrate Pride with the Outspoken Network on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. Open your free iHeartRadio app, search Pride, and listen now.
And speaking of Seattle, Chuck, we're going to be in Seattle.
I had a feeling you were going to work a live show promo into this.
Yeah, we're going to be in Seattle on February 1st at the Moore Theater.
Yeah.
This is 2023.
That's
not
right.
Last February.
No.
And this is actually happening, too. This isn't something we forgot to edit out. Like, these shows are going on, come hell or high water.
That's right. We're going to Seattle, to a real city, but one of the cooler stories, I think, in this episode is the fake city that Boeing built in 1944. This was Boeing was building B-17 bombers at what was called Plant Number 2, and that was a very dangerous place to work in World War II, and for obvious reasons. So they said, all right, here's what we're going to do. Instead of building, because what you typically do with like a decoy factory or Q site or whatever is build something, 15 miles away. And they said, why don't we just build something that looks like the real thing 15 miles away? They said, why don't we just shield our real thing by building an innocuous fake town on top of the factory? And that's exactly what they did.
They did. Have you seen pictures of this?
Oh, yeah. This is super cool.
It's all about what it looks like from overhead. So again, they didn't need to build everything exactly life size and exactly with great material. They built cars out of plywood, and the grass was like dyed burlap and stuff like that. The trees were these weird kind of almost surrealist approximation of trees.
Yeah, they were cool.
So when you were walking among this stuff, you're like, that car is cut off in half lengthwise, or that house is like, all it is like the top, third and the roof. It's weird, but from overhead, it really did a good job disguising it. And they would send Boeing workers up there once in a while, like hang laundry or sunbathe or walk along the sidewalks to just kind of give the impression. And I was thinking about it, I'm like, that is a really dangerous thing to have your employees do.
Yeah. To like, hey, if you're going to take a smoke break, go up there.
Yeah, but at the same time, if the building's going to get bombed, whether they're up there or in the building, I guess it doesn't really matter. So it's
that's a good point.
No more dangerous than working inside anyway.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I didn't think about that. Yeah, they had, I think, kind of the more ingenious things, because obviously they're seeing it built from way, way high up where the bombers are.
Mm-hmm.
It couldn't look out of place like in relation to everything else around it. So they couldn't just like stick it down there in any old order. They had to align the street grid with generally what was going on around them.
Right.
And it's really cool. There's a cool website that has a lot of really great pictures of like, and it's the time too. So this like super cool lady in 1944, like standing at the street corner. They got a little cheeky with the street signs, Burlap Boulevard and Synthetic Street.
Yeah.
So I think they ended up having a little fun with it, maybe.
A little. But who can blame them?
Somebody thought in the middle of World War II to put joke signs up at least. That's pretty great.
Right. Also, Chuck, I heard that those streets were so well lined up, you could get in the middle of that fake suburb on top of the Boeing building and drive straight through all the way to Portland and then on to San Francisco, where we'll be on February 2nd and 3rd, 2023.
Very nice.
So, that whole Boeing thing, luckily it never worked out. The whole reason that they did that was because they were on the West Coast in Seattle and they were worried about Japanese bombing raids. That never happened. Obviously, I think
maybe because of that.
It's possible. I mean, I know that we in our book, I think on our chapter about kamikaze, this is a really book-forward episode, isn't it?
It is.
The Japanese actually, there was a battle in the United States, but it was in Alaska. So I don't think the Japanese ever came to the West Coast, did they?
Well, no, I was just kind of kidding. Like, I think they would have known if there was, a bunch of planes circling overhead and they were just like, we just can't find where Boeing is.
It's working. Just keep smiling. Just keep pretending we're in a suburb.
Sometimes the project, it seems like a lot of these, I think they're well-intended and they get off on the right foot, and then it ends up being scrapped for one reason or another. But, Ed makes a great point. If you're the United States military and you want to build some big facility somewhere, you want to build it away from things, obviously, so it's a little more secretive, but you can't build it too far from stuff because you need workers and you need equipment and shipping and construction and all the things that being close to things provide. So with the town of Apix, Florida, APIX, which we'll explain what that means in a minute. This was in Palm Beach County in the 1950s, where they bought up 10 square miles in what was at the time kind of rural western Palm Beach. There weren't a lot of people around then. Because they wanted to build a factory. They were developing liquid hydrogen as fuel. And they're like, let's develop this fuel. We'll build this factory and another place nearby, and we'll build a pipeline. And it just kind of never fully came to fruition, I think, because they realized it was too expensive to ship liquid hydrogen that way.
Yeah, they figured out it was cheaper to just put them in refrigerated trucks and drive them. So they actually did create the liquefaction plant to produce the hydrogen for the rocket fuel. But they just never went on to do the full project, which was build a workers' village to support the plant. And the whole idea was they were just going to say, this is a fertilizer plant, and this is basically a suburban town that's sprouted up around the fertilizer plant, just filled with normal people. Nothing to see here. This is Apix, Florida. Welcome and goodbye.
But what does APIX stand for? This is sort of the funny. I'm not sure why they did this, but go ahead.
So it was actually technical designation that had to do with the project itself. Air Products Incorporated Experimental. So APIX, you just remove the E and replace it with the X. You got APIX, right? And Ed actually had a little editorial comment that I thought was pretty interesting. He was like, why would you possibly name the town like a technical term from the very project you're working on, a super secret rocket fuel? And he said that his wife Meg pointed out that it actually worked pretty well, or it could work well, because if you heard people talking about Apix, you just assume they were talking about that town in Florida and maybe not consider searching much further into what was actually being discussed when they were actually talking about the rocket fuel.
Go Meg.
Yeah, I thought so too.
I think it's the first time we've heard from Meg, right?
I believe
officially.
So. Yeah.
All right. I love it. It's interesting. This is kind of functioning as a top 10 in a way. because we move on to yet another subtopic, which are paper towns. And I had never heard of this before. This is so cool. I need to talk to my buddy Rad, the cartographer out in Montana, and see if he puts any trap streets or copyright traps in his work.
Trap houses?
Because they were initially called trap streets, and this is when a map maker, a cartographer, is drawing a map, and they even knew early on, they're like, hey, listen, anyone can just go out and print copies of these and then sell them. I did all the hard work. And now they're just going to sell these maps as their own. So they started putting trap streets, like made-up streets in there. It's sort of like the brown M&Ms in the Van Halen writer. So they would know if they saw a map with their trap street that there was copyright infringement.
Man, what a great analogy you just made.
The brown M&Ms?
Yeah.
It's the first thing I thought of.
So this one particular story centers on Aglo or Aglo. No one on the planet has any idea exactly how to pronounce it. New York, upstate New York in the Catskills. And there was a firm that was basically two guys, from what I could tell, in the 1920s who were making maps. And they created that town, which is an amalgam,
Amalgam,
right?
I think? Yeah.
Okay, of letters from their name. So Aglo, New York is it's one of those paper cities that didn't exist, and it was meant as a copyright trap, like you were saying. But the reason that Aglo, New York is probably the most famous paper city is because it managed to fall backwards into reality. It went from a fake town on a map to a real town in upstate New York in a weird roundabout way.
Yeah, but we should say town very much in quotation marks because there was not a lot going on there. There are a couple of ways the story went down, and the one I saw that seems most reliable is kind of the second one. But apparently there was a fishing lodge that was built after this map was drawn with a fake town name on it, the paper town. And they saw that it was near this place, so they just named it after it. They said, all right, that's the closest town. So this is now the Aglo Lodge Farms fishing lodge. And the New York Times ended up reporting on it and said that some of the first guests there, one of them was a map publishing firm, an official from a publishing firm, and said, the owner said, you should put this place on the map. Even though that was like a New York Times contemporaneous piece, I don't know if that's super accurate. I think the other one's a little more accurate.
It not only is that questionable, it's very confusing too. Like, was the map publishing executive one of the guys who created Aglo, New York as the trap? Did things really come that full circle? Was it somebody from Rand McNally who would later use that to their advantage? Was
he on
confusing.
LSD?
I've got a lot of questions about, was it a Minotaur?
Right.
But the second version is really, it's not that much different. There's somebody who decided to open a general store on the spot where that was marked Aglo. And the other thing about this too is the fact that this town became real in a certain way means that there was the monumentally coincidental fact that they happened to have the type of map that had been created by that firm that made up Aglo. Because remember, no other map is going to have that town. It's a copyright town that just one firm's maps would show. So they happen to have that firm's maps when they decided to figure out where their general store was or their fishing lodge was. And so they named this general store the Aglo General Store. But the weird thing about it is where Rand McNally comes in this story.
Yeah, and I will, just in defense of that, I will say it was an Esso gas station map.
Okay.
So I think those things were kind of everywhere.
Oh, okay.
So
I liked my interpretation.
Yeah, but I'm just pointing out it wasn't some like weird obscure map. It was a pretty heavily, it was a map in the rotation, you know?
Okay.
So they build this general store. Rand McNally comes along. They publish a map, seemingly using the other map because Aglo was on there, and they got sued, but they said, no, you can't sue us. Like, this is a town now. I'm standing in front of the Aglo. They had a press conference in front of the Aglo General Store. They didn't really, but they probably should have, and said, this is a real place. And, they ended up winning that case because of that. And at various times over the years, Agloe is sometimes on maps, sometimes it's on Google Maps, sometimes it's not.
Yeah.
I think the fishing lodge is there, but it doesn't go by that anymore. And
no, but it's there still. I mean, there is
Right.
a fishing lodge there.
But there is the building of the general store is there, but I don't think it's a general store anymore, right?
I've seen both. I've seen that you can
Oh, really?
find the general store still. Yeah, I've seen that the fishing lodge and the general store are there, which is kind of like putting both stories together. And I guess they don't have to be mutually exclusive.
No.
I also saw mention that at its peak, a little mini town sprang up around either the general store or the fishing lodge, or both.
Okay.
That there was a gas station, 2 houses. There was something happened. It came up out of the map. The map became reality. It's such a great story. And there's an author named Tom Green. He's a YA author. I've not heard of him or read his stuff, but he wrote a book called Paper Towns where Agloe figures into it. So apparently, teens will show up once in a while and be like, "I'm an Agloe."
So buy the stuff they don't want you to know book.
That's right.
Buy the stuff you should know book.
Sure.
Buy Paper Towns.
Yeah, I didn't even think about it. That's another book.
It's another book. Buy Rand McNally Atlas. Here's my advice: if you're a person of a certain age who has literally never used a real map in your life and only interacted with digital interfaces, buy an atlas. Buy a road atlas. It's kind of fun. It's good to have around in case it all goes down the tubes.
Sure.
And we're all feral wandering around the country. I was road tripping with Emily recently and kind of reminiscing about, remember when you used to have to pull over on the side of the road and get out the map and say, well, I think you can take this to this to this to get to that.
Fun. Yeah.
It was fun. It was a good sense of adventure that has now been ruined by technology.
But also, I've said it before and I'll say it again. I think that it made people smarter in some ways than today. Yeah. Again, I think we talked about like balancing your checkbook or something like that. You had to do that. Oh, no. It was keeping bowling scores by hand.
That's right.
It's the same kind of thing, like having to stop and figure out where you are and where you're going and then how to get there on a map. So much different than like take a left in 180 feet. And I'm not mad about that. I use Waze every time I drive anywhere that I don't know where I'm going. Yeah. But there's a qualitative difference in what your brain is doing when you're using Waze and when you are looking at a paper map and figuring it out yourself.
Yeah. Like I like knowing where the best breakfast burrito is in the next town I'm going to.
Sure.
And the old Rand McNally didn't show you that. Should we take a break? Yeah, let's take a break.
Oh, okay. You answered your own question.
Breakfast burrito. We'll finish up after this.
Stuff you should know. Josh and Chuck. Stuff you should know.
This is Danielle Fishel.
Ryder Strong.
And Will Friedle from Pod Meets World. You know what I didn't expect? Becoming best friends with Chewy's customer service.
Oh, been there. I've chatted with them as late as midnight. They actually get pet people.
And if Pickles or Lucky hate something, I just send it back. 100% satisfaction guarantee gives you a whole year to make a return. No questions asked.
Meanwhile, I'm over here ordering everything for Bill and Brunch. Food, treats, beds, toys. Because Chewy has over 100,000 products to choose from.
And it shows up in like a day. I mean, my dog Sammy thinks the delivery driver is her personal assistant, and I'm not sure she's wrong.
It's not just for dogs and cats either. They've got stuff for birds, fish, reptiles. The list goes on and on.
And the health side is huge for me, too. Prescriptions, pet insurance, telehealth vet visits.
They're even opening vet clinics now.
My cat pretends he doesn't care, but he benefits.
Chewy just makes the whole pet parent thing easier. For life with pets, the answer is Chewy. Save $20 on your first order with free shipping at chewpanions.chewy.com/world.
Joy is essential, and it's also elusive. You can't order it, you can't borrow it, or simply hope it into life. But now, There's a new and exciting way to start your journey toward a more joyful existence. Joy 101. It's a new podcast hosted by me, Hoda Kotb. Together, guys, we'll have meaningful conversations with the world's most fascinating people. Entertainment legends, sports icons, wellness experts, and everyday people will share how they find, allow, and experience joy. And I'll offer some of my own tips and takes on seeking a more balanced and harmonious life. If you're craving inspiration, support, and useful tools to maximize your joy, tune into these candid, uplifting, and moving on-air chats. Joy after a breakup, joy as an empty nester, joy after a loss, joy as a caretaker. This new podcast will speak to you. Listen to Joy 101 on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Your husband is not who you think he is. Your body is not what you thought it was. Your identity is formed by a secret history. I'm Dani Shapiro, and these are just a few of the stunning stories I'll be exploring on the 14th season of Family Secrets.
And just then, we felt the plane turn in the air. So much so that the bags that were under people's seats just kind of flew into the aisle.
Each week, we dive headfirst into the complex power of secrecy, how it shapes our identities and relationships, and how it ultimately can reveal to us our truest selves.
My daughter, she's pretending she doesn't know, but is trying to cook and feed me and keep me alive because I wasn't eating anything. And me pretending like everything was fine.
He kind of shoved me out of the way and said, move. And he went out the front door and he jumped in a car and drove off. And that was the last time I saw him.
Listen to season 14 of Family Secrets on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Happy Pride from the Outspoken Podcast Network. All month long and all year round, we're celebrating being loud, proud, and always original. It's me, Brandon Kyle Goodman, host of the podcast Tell Me Something Messy. Check out my show for unfiltered takes on dating, relationships, and adulting.
The more you get comfortable with someone, the more their real self comes out. They're going to be gross.
What's the grossest thing about a man?
Burping. Shut it down.
Listen to High Key for the best pop culture takes, and There Are No Girls on the Internet for all your tech news. For your favorite celebrity kikis, check out Outlaws with T.S. Madison.
Wait, so Luke was the son of Vader.
Yeah.
And Vader was turned by RuPaul?
Yeah, well, somebody turned him.
Okay.
Some old witch.
Learn to love yourself unapologetically with BFF, Black Fat Femme, and start your day with intention with Waking Up with Ryan coming in July. Celebrate Pride with the Outspoken Network on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. Open your free iHeartRadio app, search Pride, and listen now.
So, Chuck, one of the other reasons that people make fake towns is not to just act as decoys, but instead to use for testing, often weapons testing. Probably the most famous fake town that has been used to test weapons is in Nevada. Is it Nevada or Nevada? Nevada, you're right. The Nevada test site, which in the 50s until the mid-60s, I believe, was where we set off, I think, 700 plus nuclear bombs. And we would often build little towns and be like, kaboom! Did you see what happened to that town?
And
Let's
they
do
would
it
say,
again.
Yeah, I'm only a few miles from it. Because that's what happened with, I've seen it called Survival Town.
Mm-hmm.
Probably the most famous one is the one where they actually shot a bunch of footage, the Apple II test site in 1955, where they gathered 6,000 people to watch from 6 miles away. I believe the Army was about 2 to 3 miles away. Mm-hmm. And they built a bunch of stuff. They built some houses, built some buildings. They had a way station, some trailer parks, some cars, apparently a propane tank station. So they built a little bit of infrastructure. And this is the one, if you've ever seen the very famous footage, and part of the reason they did this was to be able to show Americans, and scare them, say, here's what will happen to you, of those mannequins dissolving into fiery blast right before your eyes.
And by the way, call your senator and tell them you want American defense spending doubled.
Yeah, basically. Very well-known footage, but one of these houses, it's called the Bellin Building. It was manufactured by a company, Bellin Manufacturing, who did steel panels. It was only 6,800 feet away, and it survived, very famously, the blast, and was a a legit, tourist attraction for a long time. It may still be. Is it still there?
Yes, still is. There's a couple of houses that are still there that survived. One was a 2-story colonial or 2-story something. Colonial with a brick fireplace and chimney on the outside. And a lot of it survived. The other was an all straight up brick house, which I believe was the inspiration for the Commodore song Brick House.
That's right. And the one of straw did not make it.
No. But if you looked inside those houses, they had like mannequins dressed up. Yeah. Some of them dressed to the nines, frankly. They had like frozen food, canned food, in some cases fresh food. They had stuff in refrigerators. They had like...
Indiana Jones.
They had... Oh, yeah, that's right. That was in the third one, right?
Yeah, the fourth one, yeah.
Okay. Oh, yeah. No. Yeah? What was the third one?
The
Last Crusade.
Last Crusade, yeah.
I don't know what's happening to my aging mind.
That's okay.
But if you look to see like the before and after, I have to say the mannequins fared pretty well. They got bounced around. They definitely weren't standing up anymore afterward, but they weren't like vapor either.
Right. They did just great.
The test worked. Our buddy Van Nostrand said he went to that site.
Oh, really?
It was one of the more amazing places he's been.
Yeah, I'll have to check that out. Japan did something kind of similar with Project Ichiban, and this was post Hiroshima and Nagasaki when they're like, hey, we want to see like what radiation does to people and what radiation sickness might do. So they built a village that could actually be moved around. It was built on wooden skids, so you could move this village around to different, and subject it to different levels of radiation to see what would happen.
I think that was actually American built. They simulated a Japanese village. Yeah, because they were like, whoa, a lot of people died of radiation sickness. We weren't expecting that.
I guess so, because it was built on the Yucca Flat, and that ain't Japan.
It's outside of Nagano.
I know. Big whiff by me.
So there are other cities that are built for testing not nearly as much destructive stuff as like a nuclear bomb. And there's one at the University of Michigan in Ann Arbor called M City. And it's basically like a fake drive around town. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
No, I don't think anybody knows what I'm saying. Let me just rephrase that. It's like a town, a fake town that's really car centric. It's like Los Angeles, but in Ann Arbor.
Right, but fully like it's only fake in the sense is that there are fake buildings and no one lives there. Like they really, because what they're doing is it's all in partnership with I believe initially Ford, but I don't know who all is involved now, to test driverless cars. So the streets have to be really real, and the stoplights, like it has to really function as a real city if you want to really test driverless cars out.
Yeah, I saw they even have like, crash test dummies as pedestrians and stuff to make sure the things stop when they're supposed to.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. And there's an app where if you are testing at M City, you will have access to an app that lets you like control different conditions around the fake town.
Yeah, it's a Truman Show.
Yeah, I guess so, but on your phone. You can use it on your phone.
I don't know if they can really make it rain, although I bet you they can.
I'll bet they can at the very least make the streets wet.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's a road condition. I mean,
right.
That's legit. They're
Making
playing
it snow's
God.
Got to be harder, right? So that reminds me of something I went to when I grew up in Toledo called Safety City.
Oh, I think I've heard about this.
It's so amazing. You take your big wheel and you go to Safety City, which is a small miniature fake town with like intersections and a railroad crossing and traffic lights, and you learn like what all this stuff means. Like, what do you do at a yield sign? And you get to ride around on your big wheel like you're in a car driving around town. It was one of the better experiences of my young life in Toledo.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
There's another one that seems really creepy in every way, but it's hasn't come to fruition, and it really isn't creepy. I think it's just the fact that it's called The Center, capital T, capital C.
Yeah.
And it's this $1 billion future fake city they've been planning this thing out since 2012. It's Pegasus Global Holdings. That's also creepy sounding,
for sure.
Although it's probably completely innocuous. And the Center for Innovation, again, capital T, C, and I. and testing and evaluation. So it's the Center for Innovation, Testing, and Evaluation, CITE.
Yeah.
And what they're doing, it seems like, or what they want to do eventually, it seems like there's all kinds of testing that could go on, but a lot of it has to do with energy savings and, transporting energy, getting water from one place to another more safely. It just seems like transportation. It seems sort of like a catch-all of anything that you would want to use a city for without having to block off real streets and pay real money and suffer repercussions from real damage and stuff like that.
But it does seem to have a real focus on sustainability. Some of the projects also include, you could test low loss transmission lines. Remember I can't remember what episode that is a huge problem with creating a renewable grid. Is there so much energy loss over time? You could test that. You could also test driverless cars. And have you seen the diagram or the renderings of this city?
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
It is. There's a whole highway that comes into town, just like a regular city. There's a rural area. There's suburbs. There's a downtown area. It looks like it's going to be really great. And whoever thought of building that, I think it's one of those if you build it, they will come kind of things.
Yeah.
But it sounds like they're having trouble convincing people about the second part.
Right. I bet it'll happen at some point.
I hope so.
Yeah, and it's not creepy at all. It all the capital letters really freaked me out.
Right, no, but that on top of the idea that if you went to this place, it would be like a Twilight Zone episode where there's no one there. You've got a city and no one's in it. That's just so creepy. That's one of the reasons why this whole episode has me engrossed. There's just some creep factor that's lurking right under the surface.
Yeah, it's the same creep factor from an abandoned city almost.
Mm-hmm.
There's just something creepy about infrastructure with no one there.
Yeah, so I just want to give a shout out for one more thing on Florida. We were talking about Apex, Florida, and it reminded me that down in Dade County, there's something called the Aerojet facility, and it was a rocket testing site, a missile testing site, and there is a missile in an underground silo still there. It's obviously not armed or anything, but there are some really cool urban explorer pictures of this missile. Usually from the top down, but somebody figured out how to get down to the bottom, so they're standing at the base of this missile, and it's towering over them. But it's in this weird overgrown area outside of Miami. It's really cool looking.
Wow!
So check it out on the internet.
It's like that bomb in Savannah in the ocean. They still haven't found that, right?
No, but they know where this is.
Oh yeah, sure. So the last kind of fake city has been used a bunch of times by the military and by, as we'll see later, the modern police forces, aka the mini military. But training centers, everyone from the FBI to the CIA to the Army has training centers all over the country where they have fake towns built, tactical villages. If you've ever seen Jodie Foster walking through the CIA, or was it FBI? She was FBI.
FBI.
FBI training where, the bad guys pop around the corner of a fake house. This is more along those lines, basically.
Yeah, that was actually either set at or meant to be Hogan's Alley at Quantico.
Yeah.
And yeah, she didn't look behind the door, remember?
Didn't look behind the door.
So, there's also Fort Polk in Louisiana used to have a Vietnamese village for training before shipping out to Vietnam in the 60s. Fort Irwin in Barstow, where the drugs kick in, they had a Afghani village basically built for the U.S. military to train at. And then you mentioned the mini military, today's police forces. In the 60s, the U.S. built 2 different fake towns on military bases. I didn't see which. But in the United States, there were 2 what were called riotsvilles, and that was an informal term for them. And it was a place where local police officers or law enforcement could travel to these bases and be trained in violently suppressing protests in a fake town that simulated a real world situation.
Yeah, this is one I think we should do a full episode on.
Okay.
For sure. There's a new documentary out called Riotsville, USA that popped up, I believe, in just September of this year, 2022.
Oh, it was this year? Oh, cool.
I think so. It's pretty recent. And this actually may have been where I got the idea. I might have seen an article about this, but it's really interesting because then we can get into the Kerner Commission, which was basically this, in-depth study of history and data where they concluded that, hey, social welfare funding is necessary in this country. And it wasn't just as simple as like, hey, there's racism, so we need social welfare funding. It's, hey, the way this country went and when everything happened with industrialization and where people live and where African Americans were coming out of Jim Crow, like it all aligned in this terrible perfect storm, an imperfect storm, where we need to help take care of people a little bit more. And this was all reversed. And I believe it was the Johnson administration said, oh, actually what we're going to do is we're going to divert all the money we can toward making the United States police forces more like paramilitary forces.
Right.
And train them in, standing down these riots where people are asking for, basic human needs.
Right. And as Ed points out, the fact that these two riotsvilles were built basically shows it's essentially the official policy of the United States to suppress protests brutally often rather than actually address the actual issues that are causing unrest in the first place. So I
Nixon
agree.
Came in,
I think that we should do an episode on that too. That's a great idea.
Yeah, I want to watch that doc because I think there's just a lot more to it than an addendum here at the end of this one.
For sure. And if only Riotsville, USA, the documentary, had been a book instead, that would have been the ultimate button on this episode,
It would have. I do want to mention a movie, though. Joel Schumacher made a movie called Tigerland, which was the name of the training place in Polk, Louisiana, where it sort of simulated an Asian jungle environment. It was Colin Farrell in Tigerland.
Really? Huh.
Rated R.
Coming to a theater 10 years ago.
Yeah, or more.
Well, you got anything else?
I got nothing else.
Well, since Chuck evoked the name of Colin Farrell, that obviously means it's time for listener mail.
All right, I'm going to call this a little more detail on our vinyl stereo explanation. And exclamation, I think.
Okay.
Dear Mr.'s Stuff, you said in your episode on vinyl that stereo records are created by cutting the left-right audio on the left-right side of the record groove. It's even more black magic-y than that. In old technology with shellac records, the mono information was engraved from side to side. With stereo, the mono information is engraved in the same way, and the side information is engraved up and down.
Wow.
This is then, I know, I can't even understand this. This is then turned into the left-right audio using a process called mid-side decoding, which is basically duplicating the mid information, phase inverting it, and then adding it together with the mid and other side information. If that blew your mind as much as it did me when I got it explained, check out this article. And this is just Google sound processing mid-side stereo, and that'll probably answer it. And that is from Marcus, who is also, by the way, not 100% satisfied with our description of compressed digital audio.
Sorry, Marcus, but that is a really interesting email, and it was one of those things like every once in a while we'll hear something from somebody and it almost hurts in your guts that you didn't know that thing or you didn't know it to that degree. You know what I'm saying? You almost want to go back and correct it somehow.
Yeah, and we also should mention we got a few emails from other audiophile people who also said, hey, you guys kind of glossed over the digital audio compression because there's a bunch of codecs and ways of doing things, and we also got a not very nice email where someone was like, you guys are playing your stuff wrong, why bother?
I didn't notice that one. But I mean, it's not like a how digital compression works episode. It was about vinyl. Give us a break, everybody. Those were the people I was talking about when I made the disclaimer at the beginning of the episode, and they didn't listen to me.
Yeah. I'll send you the email of the not nice guy. He basically said, Josh, you might as well give away your records to someone who can play them right.
Okay, cool.
And he got on me, too, for the
that.
Bluetooth aspect of my record playing. So we're doing it wrong, but hey, we're living our best life and having a good time playing records.
Exactly.
So, as my wife would say, well, never mind. I'm not going to say that.
Okay. And that was from Marcus, right?
That was from Marcus. Marcus was fairly kind about it.
Cool. Thanks a lot, Marcus. Thanks for all the extra info. I mean, that's definitely something you can do to boost your chances of being on listener mail, is adding info that we just didn't know about in a nice way.
Agreed.
And if you want to be like Marcus and send us some extra info we didn't know about in a nice way, you can send it in an email to stuffpodcast@iheartradio.com.
Stuff You Should Know is a production of iHeartRadio. For more podcasts from iHeartRadio, visit the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your favorite shows.
This is Danielle Fishel.
Ryder Strong.
And Will Friedle from Pod Meets World. You know what I didn't expect? Becoming best friends with Chewy's customer service.
Oh, been there. I've chatted with them as late as midnight. They actually get pet people.
And if Pickles or Lucky hate something, I just send it back. 100% satisfaction guarantee gives you a whole year to make a return. No questions asked.
Meanwhile, I'm over here ordering everything for Bill and Brunch. Food, treats, beds, toys. Because Chewy has over 100,000 products to choose from.
And it shows up in like a day. I mean, my dog Sammy thinks the delivery driver is her personal assistant, and I'm not sure she's wrong.
It's not just for dogs and cats either. They've got stuff for birds, fish, reptiles. The list goes on and on.
And the health side is huge for me, too. Prescriptions, pet insurance, telehealth vet visits.
They're even opening vet clinics now.
My cat pretends he doesn't care, but he benefits.
Chewy just makes the whole pet parent thing easier. For life with pets, the answer is Chewy. Save $20 on your first order with free shipping at chewpanions.chewy.com/world.
Joy is essential, and it's also elusive. But now, there's a new and exciting way to start your journey toward a more joyful existence. Joy 101. It's a new podcast hosted by me, Hoda Kotb. If you're craving inspiration, support, and useful tools to maximize your joy, tune into these candid, uplifting, and moving on-air chats. Listen to Joy 101 on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
This is an iHeart podcast. Guaranteed human.